Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so Skip, Shannon, let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from LA. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Good morning over there, guys. How are we?
Good morning. Down 2-0 again.
Here we go, Clippers. We're going to break the curse of 0-2 down.
No, you're not.
It is time for once to be 1-1 coming home to Staples. And by the way, the Clippers do own Staples now. I don't know whatever happened.
Moved in from below the base.
You want to just put a case on that?
On which?
That y'all not going to be 1-1 after tonight?
I might do that. I just might do that.
Okay.
I just might. Are you're running hot and heavy?
Yeah. I saw you coming. I saw you coming last week.
You're in control. You're only 37 cases down.
37 cases. Just, making his way up. Doing whatever you can. We will get to your Clippers, Skip. I promise you that. But I want to begin with Ben Simmons. There is still a lot of heat, and he's taken the heat for passing up a late dunk in Philly's Game 7 loss to Atlanta. He was also in all-time worst in the playoffs at 34% free throw shooting of someone with at least 70 attempts. Doc Rivers feels confident that this will be the offseason that Simmons can finally improve his shooting. The 76ers coach told reporters, quote, "I believe without going into detail with what we're doing, I believe we know what the right work is and the right type of work and the right way to do it, the right way to do it." So, Shannon, is Ben Simmons fixable at this point?
Skip, I just think the thing is he's never going to be what we originally thought he would be. A 6'10" Magic Johnson, LeBron-type basketball player. I think we need to adjust our expectations of him. He's too flawed of an offensive player to be historically or transcendently great. We've never seen an offensive player this flawed and him be historically great, Skip. So maybe we just change our expectations, what the ceiling is for him, and he'll be fine. Skip, my grandfather and grandmother was religious, not every other word come out their mouth with Jesus, God, this, that. But my grandfather used to say, boy, never mistake habit for hard work. And they spoke to us in parables like that because I guess in the Bible they speak to you a lot of parables. And you're supposed to figure that out, Skip. You and I both go to the gym a lot. We've seen people that come to the gym, Skip, 5, 6, 7 years, 5, 6 days a week, and they never change. Man, I be working out.
Because they mostly talk.
Because what they're doing is they're mistaking habit for hard work. Yep. Because they go to the gym 5 days a week, they think they're working hard. Ben Simmons think because he goes to the gym every single day, he working hard.
Well, if he is going to the gym every single day.
Okay, there lies another problem, Skip. How about this here? And I was thinking, Skip, there was nothing on last night. I ended up watching Kevin Hart's movie Fatherhood, and I was just thinking to myself, I said, Ben Simmons. Who could Ben Simmons be? Because he's not going to be Magic. He's not going to be LeBron. What if he was a Draymond Green type player? Could he be that, Skip? Initiate the offense, get you some rebounds. He can play defense. He can assist the basketball. Just not that offensive threat that when we think Magic, because Skip, Magic did average, was a 19 and 11 guy.
Yep.
Could Ben Simmons be a Draymond? And this is no knock on Draymond because I think Draymond's going to the Hall of Fame. A defensive player of the year, all NBA defensive player, 3 championships out of 4. So I think Draymond's a hell of a player. And that's not a knock if Ben Simmons can become that. Skip, he's just not going to be Magic. He's not going to be LeBron. So I think we need to scale back our expectations. But I also think Doc is like, you know what, man, I probably killed some of that trade value I had. That when I said, Skip, I don't know if he can be late in the ball. Because think about this, Skip. Let's put it in football terms. Imagine you got a quarterback and he becomes unplayable late in the ball game. What good is he? How do you say a guy is LeBron Magic if I can't play him late in ball game in crunch time? I got to get him off the court. Because he's not going to take a jump shot, and he's afraid to get fouled. Well, he's not going to take. He's afraid of shooting, and he's afraid of going to the free throw line. So he becomes unplayable. Skip, I don't know. Fix to what extent? Is it something that we can repair and it's going to be good long term, or is just a quick fix until we get a long term solution, which is another player in here to replace Ben Simmons? I believe that's the best thing for both sides, Skip. Because we can go back and talk about, well, Ben, you remember he had 42 against Rudy Gobert, the defensive player of the year? Yes. But also what was absent in that game? Joel Embiid. And he was in attack mode. So if he's going to tackle and lay the ball up, Skip, in the playoffs, he shot one shot outside of the paint. And it was at the end of the quarter, shot. Let that sink in, Skip. The man played 11 games, and he took one shot. Skip, I don't know to the extent, how fixable is, what is your definition of fixable? That is the question that the Sixers are going to have to ask themselves. What is our definition of fixable?
Okay. I hear everything you just said. I heard everything you said yesterday. I heard a whole lot of things that got said throughout the media yesterday about it's time to get rid of Ben Simmons.
Right.
You were the first to mark it with it's time to trade Ben Simmons. Okay, so I'm going to ask this hypothetical question.
Okay.
What if I told you there was this player who was 24 years of age, and he's 6'11", 240 pounds, and he won Rookie of the Year.
Yep.
And then he made 3 straight All-Star teams, and he made 2 straight first-team All-Defenses.
That's a pretty good player.
That's a pretty good player. And what if I told you, as you just mentioned, that said player, not that long ago, just back on February 15th, got so angry over all the talk about how Rudy Gobert was the runaway defensive player of the year that he took it upon himself to go to Utah without his co-star. And at Utah, guarded mostly by Rudy Gobert, this player that we're talking about scored 42 points and hit 12 out of 13 free throws.
Right.
Because he was angry about the runaway talk that he's going to walk away with Defensive Player of the Year, which he ultimately did.
Correct.
What if I told you that player has 7 games in his fairly brief NBA career of 30-plus points? What if I told you he has 73 games in his career of 20-plus points, and that he has 35 triple-doubles already in a fairly brief NBA career? And what if I told you that player helped lead his team to the best record in the East, to a first-round playoff win, and all the way to the second round in which his team was in a fairly commanding 2-1 lead, and then had leads in Game 4 of 18 points and in Game 5 of 26 points?
Correct.
That player is Ben Simmons, and that player is on the trading block, which is unfathomable to me, because all of the above screams eminently fixable. What happened against Washington, thanks to Scotty Brooks, was Scott Brooks finally said, you know what, we got to do it. We got to resort to let's hack a Ben.
Yep.
And for some reason, this 24-year-old, who can be very tough-minded, I'll throw in one other game that sticks in my memory, and that was back on April 18th of 2019. Remember when Jared Dudley said if you can just slow him down and get him in the half court, he's average in the half court, said Jared Dudley?
Yes, he did.
And at the shoot-around that day, the response from one Ben Simmons was, it's coming from Jared Dudley, come on, right? And he proceeded that night to terrorize those Brooklyn Nets. Obviously, they weren't the KD, Kyrie.
But think about it again, Skip. What was absent?
Okay.
Joel Embiid.
Okay, but he terrorized them for 31, 4, and 9 assists. He just took the game over offensively in the half court and on the break. And obviously, he's better on the break, because once you get that freight train at 6'11", 240 going downhill, it's hard to keep him from the rim, because he's like LeBron, he's ambidextrous. He can do it both ways, and he can get up and soar over you on the break.
But Skip, Jared Dudley wasn't wrong. Jared Dudley said, we just got to give him the half court set.
Somewhere as we speak, Jared Dudley is chuckling, right? Because he's saying, I tried to tell you, right? But what happened to this young, still very young man against Washington? He got snake bitten. And I'm shocked, because he's shown flashes of being so tough-minded. When he gets mad, he gets good mad. He gets unstoppable mad, but somehow he didn't get mad at Scott Brooks. He got gotten. He shrank. He let the demons take his psyche over. And you know and I know what happens when you let them get in there. You're cooked. where he got so afraid he didn't even want to try to shoot the free throws anymore because all he could do is muster up about 30%, 35% of them. And it got so bad, obviously, against Atlanta that he did not want to shoot the basketball in the fourth quarter at all. So he just says, don't even, just X me out of the offense.
Right.
I don't want the basketball because they're gonna hack me and I'm gonna have to go shoot these free throws.
So now, Skip, you're playing 4-on-5.
Okay, I got it. And they almost pulled it off anyway because it went to the wire in Game 7 because he's such a great defender. I don't throw that word around loosely, but he is a great defender. Right. He is so long and strong and agile for 6'11". He moves like a two-guard. He moved. He stayed in front of Trae Young fairly well. Now, again, he got a lot of help. They would blitz and they would double. But for the most part, he's just so long that he made it really hard on Trae Young. And when Trae Young would try a step back, it's hard to step back on him because he's just too long. Right. And the long arm of the law was getting in Trae Young's face.
He blocked a couple of them.
So, and Trae Young shot 32% from three because he's trying to heave it up over a 6'11" guy for the most part. Right. And it really helped them on that end of the floor stay in the series because without his defense on Trae Young, if you let Trae just get loose, well, you know and I know, they might have gotten run off the court before the Game 7.
But let me ask you a question, Skip. He averaged 9 points a game, 6 and 6.
Yep.
What if he just gives you what he gave you in the regular season?
Okay.
He gave you 14, 7, and 7. You win this series, Skip.
Okay, so now we get back to, is it fixable? Well, this is not physical. This is mental to me. So,
which is harder.
Okay.
Skip, you know that's harder, Skip.
But when I look at body of work, when I look at what he's already, I'm not talking about some college kid that I'm trying to project in the NBA. Right. I'm talking about a rookie of the year and a 3-time All-Star and 2-time first team All-Defense. First team.
Right.
We're talking about a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year, at least. And because of that, now we get into sports psychology or psychiatry. Yeah. To me, that's the answer. And Doc was a little circumspect about without going into detail. Well, I think the detail is they need to get him some help. Right. Seriously. Right. Where you work through this in the offseason. And again, a great shot doctor would help, like Chip England. He's a Spurs assistant, but he's fixed a lot of shots. Go ask Chip England what he did for Kawhi Leonard, because Kawhi Leonard came in this league without a shot. Right. And now he's got a pretty deadly mid-range jump shot because he got taught it. And he was willing to put in the work in the gym, like real work. And Doc was saying it has to be the right work. Well, surely they have enough money in Philadelphia that Josh Harris, the owner, can say, hey, let's go get that guy because you need a doctor, a shot doctor, and you need a real doctor.
Skip, you follow baseball. You're a baseball guy. You cover the game.
Unfortunately, I followed a game last night involving my Vanderbilt Commodores. Way to go, hang in there. But
Lighter son was unbelievable.
Huh? He was unbelievable except for one pitch to Terrell Tatum, who just jacked it about 450 feet, and it was 1-0. That was it.
Was it physical or mental with Steve Sachs that he couldn't throw the ball from me to you?
Obviously, completely, utterly psychological.
Chuck Knobloch.
The same deal. Steve Blass, before your time, a pitcher for the Pirates. He went from World Series hero to I can't throw a strike. I don't know why.
David Duval.
Same issue.
Engel. Rick Ankiel. Skip, remember
There's another one. Couldn't throw. Couldn't even. He couldn't even hit the catcher.
Yes.
He was throwing it over the catcher's head consistently.
So it wasn't physical with those guys. It got between his ears. And you say, Skip, we've gone in for the last 5 offseasons saying Ben Simmons going to get in the gym, he's going to work on that jump shot, and he's going to come back new and improved. And every year we've come back, if you're a Philadelphia fan or you're rooting for Ben Simmons, we've come back and he's been disappointed.
But on February 15th, about 4 months ago, he made 12 out of 13 free throws at Utah.
Yes.
Because he was angry and he said, watch this.
And this
you can't tell me he doesn't have the capability, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Skip, if you think about it, he made 12 free throws in 7 games out of like 80 attempts. So that's where it's gone.
Okay, but you can fix that if you get the right person at the right time with the right guy. And again, I like him when I watch him. And by the way, I thought it was huge. He came to the post-game interview. Like a lot of guys would shrink from that. They'd say, there's no way. And he owned it. He said,
he'd have made a bad situation worse by running out on his obligation to speak to the media after the game.
But he showed, right?
He showed up.
And he faced up, didn't he? And he said, I just wasn't there on offense. Well, I don't know how much you're right.
Skip, I ain't trying to hear that now.
Okay. Okay, but it shows you he's owning the problem to the point that is he ready to own it through the whole offseason?
Okay, Skip, you say he's fixable. Is he fixable to the point he'll be what you thought he would be? Magic LeBron type.
Well, I never said that.
But Skip, that was it. Skip, I mean, think about what he is. He's 6'10". Magic 6'9".
They list him at 11. 6'11".
Okay, 6'11". Right. So and he handled the point. So natural, the comparison is Magic, LeBron, because those are the tall guys. A Penny Hardaway.
Okay, but I never. He's a very good passer, but he's not LeBron's league as a. LeBron is gifted beyond. Like, he's still the best passer in basketball, and I don't see that creativity from Ben.
And think about this, Skip. Both of the guys that we're talking about, Magic and LeBron, came in, didn't have a great jump shot, but they worked their tails off, and it improved.
I would agree.
Skip,
especially Magic, he didn't have a shot at all.
He had a little push. He developed a little push shot.
He did. But I'm saying when he came in, LeBron had something when he came in.
But what was the one thing that those two guys had that Ben doesn't have? They had courage. They were unafraid to shoot the shot.
Okay,
He's gotten afraid to shoot the shot, Skip. So how do I improve you? Skip, it's kind of hard to be look, Skip, it's kind of hard to be a veterinarian if you're afraid of animals. It's kind of hard to be a doctor if you're afraid of blood.
Yeah. I'll give you this on LeBron, because I'll never forget Greg Popovich standing during 2013 finals, waving at Danny Green. Get off it.
Right.
So it's almost the equivalent of hack a Ben.
Right.
It's saying, just let him shoot. Just let him shoot those. Don't just play him to drive.
Right.
Because I know for a fact, because I was plugged into those teams, their golden rule was no dunks. Because especially on the road, and when they played them in 07, obviously it was at Cleveland, and then here we go again with the Heat. But the golden rule was, especially when you're on his home court, don't let him get to the rim, because if he dunks it, it just ignites the building and the roof flies off.
I give you a prime example, Skip. Look at Giannis.
Okay.
Giannis is not afraid to shoot. Hell, we think Giannis should stop shooting so much from the three-point line and outside, Skip, and get to the basket. He's improving, but he's unafraid to shoot. Until Ben Simmons.
There are actually a lot of similarities between Giannis and Ben Simmons, a whole lot. And I think in pure height, I think they're about the same height, except Giannis is longer and probably stronger.
Yeah, I think Giannis is probably more athletic also than Ben.
I'll buy
that. But that's the thing, Skip. I think the thing is that we're going to have to readjust our ceiling of what we think Ben Simmons can be. I think he's going to be more in line with a Draymond. I believe he can be a Draymond Green. And you mentioned the big games that he's had, the 31 points in the playoff game, the 42 points. What was absent? Joel Embiid. Well, if Joel Embiid is on the block, you can't have Ben Simmons on the block. Joel Embiid needs somebody that can play outside, that can space. So when they double down on him, he kicked the ball out. If he kicks the ball out to Ben Simmons, what's Ben Simmons going to do? Come kick it right back down to him. They double him again, he kicks it back out to Ben. What's Ben going to do? Throw it around the block?
Okay, so for me, I get everything you're saying, but my step-back perspective is the little alarm bell is ringing in the back of my mind about, wait a second, we're talking about one of the best young assets you could have in basketball, and everybody's saying, get him out of here. Really? Get this? Yeah. This is a huge talent that he has. And he's got a nice stroke, left-handed. The stroke from the free throw line is not broken. Giannis is crazy, and Giannis is dribbling. He's taking 12 seconds at a time.
Well, he's practicing shooting before he even gets the ball.
I get it, and I don't know why the refs even let him. It's time to go. Let's just give him the basketball. Don't wait until he rehearses a couple.
And then I watched James Harden. And then he's on the line, and the ref is waiting for him. And James was like, oh, man, come on.
Yeah, come on. Well, I can argue his free throws are more broken than Ben's are. Right. But Ben's got the demons.
Yes.
And the only way to get rid of them is through a sports psychologist. You could shoot 1,000, and you've made this point a million times. You could go to the gym right now and make 100 in a row, and it doesn't matter if somebody's going to hack a Ben you. Right. Because he's such a proud kid to me that the shame of it, they have singled you out to put you on the free throw line. Washington started it, and Atlanta finished it. Right. And the deeper we got into the Atlanta series, the worse it got, to where he was so ashamed that he said, well, I don't even deserve to have the basketball then. I'm not even going to do the dunk. You know,
even in the playoffs, the hacker Shaq was making 60% of them.
He would.
Skip, this dude is 33%.
And it started with Dwight, and Dwight would make maybe half of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even Skip, okay, give him 50%, they win the series. If he makes 50% of his free throws, they win the series.
Well, actually, against Atlanta in the fourth quarter, he was 9 of 20, so he was almost 50% in the fourth quarter.
Right.
Well, but as we got deeper in, it just didn't matter because he wouldn't even try anymore.
Right. And so now we're playing 5-on-4. We get an opportunity. The guys right there point blank. Dunk the ball. Skip, he's 6'11". Okay, dunk. Skip, that's Trae Young. Do you realize that's 5'11" Trae Young? You're supposed to dunk on his head. I've seen Ben Simmons dunk on bigger guys than Trae Young. You pass it up to Thibault for a cutting to the basket, and you right there? Nah, Skip. But, Skip, I'm not saying cut the guy. I'm not saying put the guy down in the G League. I'm saying maybe if he goes to a different place, his mind, how do you go back, Skip? How do you go back in the locker room? What you think, Skip? You heard what Joel Embiid said. Skip, that's the thing. You got to be careful. Words spoken, deeds done. Because how do you unravel that? I believe the turning point in the ball game, we had a layup. We make one.
That's the guy who said that, who had 8 turnovers, including a late one, thanks to Gallinari, that ended the game.
Now, he's not without blame now, because he had a couple of games where he had 8 turnovers.
Yeah.
So he's not without blame, Skip, but he is.
I'll give you this. They never seem to vibe off each other. It comes across that they coexist without actually liking each other. Like they seem to have no connection whatsoever.
Yeah, Skip, they ask him, Joel, you want to run it back? We'll have to see. Yeah, oh yeah, we want to run it back. We got a few cheeks here and there, But like I said, Skip, you're right. They don't mesh like Magic and Kareem, like Kobe and Shaq, like Duncan and Parker, like Kuzma and Russell, like Penny and Shaq.
Okay, I got it. But all that said, they still had the best record in the East. If you told me they missed the playoffs this year, I'd be completely all in. You got to get rid of them.
But Skip, that's the problem, is that they keep these going out. Since that run that they had against Toronto, Skip, where they lost the Game 7 on Kawhi's shot, Skip, they haven't come close back. I mean, you can't lose to Atlanta. You can't.
Okay, you always correct me about Joel. I'm his biggest fan. He's always hurt or sick, or sick or hurt, or hurt or sick.
Yes.
It's always something with him, so it's hard if you can't trust his health and you can't trust his psyche, then in the end, against a hot, young, upcoming Atlanta, they're just going to have a hard time holding them off, and they couldn't hold them off.
Yeah, and a lot of pressure on the 76ers to be able to turn this thing around. And you got to know that Ben Simmons has to want it and want to make the change in his head as well. It can't just be coming from Doc that they're ready to make the change. So we'll see how this one plays out.
No mercy.
The Clippers will try and avoid their 3rd straight 0-2 deficit these playoffs in Game 2 tonight. Kawhi Leonard will continue to miss time with his sprained right knee, with no timetable for a return. And on the other side, Chris Paul will also miss tonight's game due to health and safety protocols. So, Shannon, who you got? Who wins Game 2?
I'm taking the Suns again. I love what I saw from Devin Booker. Not only was he a scorer, he was a facilitator. He rebounded the ball extremely well in Chris Paul's absence. And I love, the guys, Bridges and Crowder and Cameron Johnson and Artis Payne, DeAndre Ayton, all those guys did their role, Skip. And that's what we've seen from the Suns, Skip. Yes, Devin Booker has been sensational. Yes, Chris Paul, once he got past that injured shoulder in the Lakers game, I think it was Game 5 and 6, he was phenomenal. But all these other guys, you see Crowder, all of a sudden he catch fire from 3. And we see Mikal Bridges, who can defend and make 3. Cam Johnson came in and made a couple of big threes. Those guys are playing really well, and they can defend. So they're going to have to do a better job of keeping the Clippers up the 3-point line, because they shoot a high percentage. And the one thing that you don't want to have happen, a team that can shoot a high percentage for 3, for them to get volume. Because the percentages says that if you let them get what they got the other day, Skip, I'm surprised that the Clippers actually didn't win this game, because they made 23s. We saw what they did when they made 23s against Utah. They tracked them down. Well, they always shoot a high percentage, but they normally make 13, 14. You start letting them get into that 18, 20, 21, 22 range, you're asking for trouble. But I think Monty Williams will coach these guys to do a better job of running them off the 3-point line. And so with that being said, Skip, Terrence Mann came back to reality. He played, 27 minutes, had 9 points. A far cry from the 39 minutes that he had Friday night. So I'm going to take the Suns in a very close ball game. Ty Lue will make adjustments. Monty Williams will have to make adjustments on the fly to see what Ty Lue's counter is to what he did on Sunday. But I'm going to take the Suns in a very close ball game.
Okay. History would say you're correct because no team has ever come from 0-2 down in consecutive playoff series until my Clippers just did it back-to-back against Dallas and then against Utah.
Right.
I preface my remarks with this. If Marcus Morris Sr. is out tonight, then I'm out on the Clippers.
What if he's hobbled?
Well, I don't even know if he's going to be able to go at all because they said he's more of a game-time decision.
Skip, I found it because I was watching it and I saw the little subtitles. They was talking about he might take an injection in the knee during the game because he didn't come out after because they started. If I'm not mistaken, they started Batum, didn't they? When they started somebody.
No, he started.
He's not the second half.
Oh, the second half.
Right, because he didn't come out.
He couldn't come in, but he tried to come in for a little while and couldn't go.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on. I got my sources on Kawhi, but I don't have them on Marcus Morris, so I don't know.
Okay.
So my point is, I've told you all year, weirdly, almost inexplicably, this team goes as he goes.
Right.
He's the catalyst.
He's the new heartbeat. He's the new pulse of the team, Skip.
What's that?
He's the new pulse, the heartbeat of the team.
Because he's a baller, man, and he's been there and done all that, and he's a tough guy.
Yes.
He's a mentally tough guy.
He is.
And when he started making threes against Dallas and then against Utah, it just, the momentum swung wildly back to the Clippers.
Yep.
So they made 23s in game 1 on Sunday at Phoenix, and he went 0 for 5. Well, think about this. They were just a shot or two away here or there. It went to the wire. With 20 seconds left, they're down 2. Well, if you get a little bit of Marcus Morris, and he was 3 of 11 for the game and 0 for 5 from 3, if you just get a little bit more of Marcus Morris, I like their chances.
Okay.
But if he cannot go, if he's lost for this game and maybe going forward, then it's enough to lose Kawhi and overcome that. But that would be too much because that would mean you've lost 2 of your 3 best players. Well, okay, game over. Thank you very much. We'll try again next year. So I preface with that, but I don't have any idea whether he'll be able to go or not. They're saying Chris Paul is not going to go tonight. So I'm going to trust he's not going to have a magical reappearance. But he could if he got whatever test needs to happen.
Yeah, you have to. I would assume, Skip, because normally it's 14-day protocol. You have the vaccine. It's probably cut in half. You just got to test, and if the test come back negative. But if he's out tonight, could he possibly return Thursday?
Highly possible. I'm not going to write him off tonight.
Okay.
Because the way this protocol, they're so secretive about it, which they should be. It's just the way it has to be. That could he get cleared just before? Sure, he could. Okay, so let's not rule him completely out. But now we get down to Clippers. If Marcus can go, let's just say he can go. This team has always done it the hardest way. And the hardest way is to go down 0-2 because it's a huge psychological hole because then you go home and you feel like you have to win the next 2 games or you're done.
You do.
Right? You don't want to fall down 3-0 and then you don't want to fall down 3-1.
Right, yeah.
So you have back-to-back must-wins at home. Well, in the Dallas series, they had back-to-back must-wins at Dallas.
Right.
So maybe their psyche is such that they just need this pressure, this hole. They need to dig themselves a hole to dig out of.
Well, Skip, I know they won 4 straight against Utah, but I don't think you will not believe they'll win 4 straight against the Suns.
Okay, we're going to talk more about Devin Booker in a few minutes on the show. But the point is, do I fear Devin Booker a little bit more than I do Luka and or Donovan Mitchell? Yes, I do. I just think there's a touch more mental toughness in him than I see in Luka or Donovan Mitchell, who can come apart in fourth quarters. If you track the fourth quarters of the Luka Clippers games and the Donovan Clippers games, go look at what those 2 players did in the fourth quarters of 7 games and 6 games. Just check it out. I won't bore you with the minute details, but trust me, they cooled way off in the fourth quarters. Their output wasn't nearly what it was in the first three quarters.
And that was the thing, Skip. Okay, I'll let you do your thing. You're doing all your things. But guess what happens when we start sending these traps and you try to kick it to Bogey and you try to kick it to Ingles and you kick it to O'Neal and they've been out of rhythm because you've had it going. Clank, 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 clank.
And that's what happened finally in Game 6. Donovan was nowhere to be found in the fourth quarter, nor was Jordan Clarkson, who had one of the hottest stretches in the second quarter I've ever witnessed. 17
straight.
I've never seen anything quite like it. Right. Like, I was tweeting like, this is the Jordan Clarkson game.
Yeah.
And it wound up being the Terrence Mann game? Yeah. Who saw that coming?
Nobody.
Okay, and by the way, quick point of order. You said Terrence Mann came back to earth. Well, did he come back to earth? Because what happened was he shot 4 times in Game 1 at Phoenix. He made 3. He made all 3 of his threes.
Right.
I don't think he came back to earth. He just didn't get the shots. He didn't get the opportunity.
Well, I don't think he was aggressive because if you think about it, Skip, not only was he hitting threes on Friday night against the Jazz, he put the ball on the floor and went to the hole. It got to the point, they're like, Rudy who? Everybody was trying him at the rim. Nobody was intimidated by that Rudy. Because normally, Skip, Rudy go, but we got to stay outside the paint. That's Rudy, man. You know the Stifle Tower, man. Defensive player of the year. They're like,
player of the year.
Ever since Terrence Mann dunked on him, that was the difference. Because, Skip, everybody was the 4-5. Because everybody felt like they had a lane to the basket.
Okay. I was saying the same thing when you guys were playing Phoenix in the first round. Because in games 2 and 3, you guys attacked DeAndre Ayton like he was a statue. You tore him up to where I was saying, does he only get to play on the offensive end? Because it was a super highway to the basket for everybody, starting with LeBron.
Right.
So it's doable and fixable, especially when your coach is Ty Lue and your second in command is Chauncey Billups. And I hope he's getting a job because he's in the midst of a lot of them.
He deserves some. Skip, but I think the biggest thing is that Ayton is different than any other big that they've played against. You know, Andre Drummond is not the offensive threat that DeAndre Ayton is. Rudy Gobert is not even close. And I think the thing is that what you saw is that people look like, oh, man, Boogie. Boogie had 11 points, but Boogie don't play any defense. He was a minus 11 in 13 minutes because DeAndre Ayton was 4-4 against Boogie in the short little time that he was in the ball game. So now you have to pay attention to him. And what Ayton has done is that he didn't average the points and the rebounds like Yoke, but he held him in check. He didn't let Yoke go get 38 and 20 and 10. So, and you saw what he did. You saw what he did against the Lakers. He was basically a 2015 guy. So if you could continue to get that, Booker's going to give you what Booker. Now the other guys, Mikal Bridges, Crowder, Torrey Craig, all those guys, because remember, Skip, against the Nuggets, the first 2 or 3 games, the most shots that somebody attempted was 14. Yep. And everybody had double figures. And again, happened Sunday. 6 guys in double figures. So they are a threat. Book's going to get his. The question is, when the rubber needs to meet the road, will those other guys succumb to the pressure? Dre Crowder has been in these moments before. He's playing extremely well. Since game, 4 against the Lakers, Jay Crowder's been as good as anybody now, obviously, he hadn't been Chris Paul, but he's been one of their better players offensively because we know he's mainly a D guy. Okay. But he's been phenomenal.
Okay, so please explain this to me. Okay. Why did my Clippers have to turn around off their biggest win in franchise history, getting to their first conference finals in 51-year history of the Clippers? They had to turn around in a day and a half and play game 1 at Phoenix. Right. Look at what the Bucks got to do. They won Saturday night. They get all the way until Wednesday. Right. How about Atlanta? They win Sunday night, and they get all the way to Wednesday. The Clippers get screwed by the league by being forced to go in a day and a half. So wait a second. You go from Friday night euphoria to Sunday afternoon? That's absurdly wrong.
Got to do it.
Well, we
got to speed this thing up. Okay? We got the Olympics coming.
Okay, so they got burned, so they lost game 1. Yep. But now they'll have a little fresher legs and a little fresher minds because they got the last round out of their systems. Right. Now we get to adjust. Now we get to see how Ty Lue comes up with a scheme to at least calm down Devin Booker. And again, I fear him. I believe in him. But I believe there are ways to calm him down, to keep him from going 40-plus. If he goes 40-plus, it's hard to beat them.
Right.
But I don't think he'll get 40-plus. And I do believe if Marcus Morris plays, that the Clippers can make 23s again.
Right.
And I do believe in playoff P. You don't, I do. And I think it's his time to rise and shine tonight in the fourth quarter the way he did in the third quarter of game one.
Well, I still wonder what you... I mean, you don't know every night what you're going to get from playoff P, especially down the stretch. Because you saw what you do. Okay, what did you get?
Almost averaged 10 points fourth quarter against Utah.
Hold on. I'm looking. Sunday, he had 1 point.
Tired. Ran out of gas.
No.
Yeah,
No.
tired.
Hold on. Time out.
Tired.
I remember a guy.
Nobody going into Sunday had played more playoff minutes than playoff P.
I remember a guy said that he was tired, and you said guys couldn't get tired. That's what you told me now.
Yeah, but that's the best player on the planet, and I put quotes around it, says you. Nobody ever said playoff P was the best player on the planet. He's just human. He's mortal.
So, in other words, the best player on the planet can't get tired, right?
Well,
be careful now. Be careful what you say now. Anything that you say can't be held
against you. If he keeps playing 48 minutes night after night after night, and he plays 1-on-5 against a really good defensive team, then, yeah, Kevin Durant deserves to get tired in the overtime of Game 7.
You don't remember LeBron? How many times have LeBron played 1-on-5?
1-on-5?
Yeah, how many
Never.
times? Oh, so
Never.
So Delly, Mozgov. Don't do that, Skip.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna do that. Don't even do that, Skip.
Delly, I mean, he was a cult hero, and I was there in Cleveland in 2015. They loved them some Delly.
I know the Delly tray. I get all that, Skip. Don't do that. Don't do that.
He saved LeBron's bacon in games, what was it, 2 and 3.
Two.
Really.
He had to put back. But they didn't save no LeBron. Stop that.
Okay.
Clippers. I got the Clippers. I got 105, 102. They break the chain.
Can we get a case on that?
1-1.
Can we get a
Yep,
case?
I'll do one case because I believe in my Clippers. Here we go.
Write that down. All right.
And by the way, I get the points, right?
No.
You can throw that in quickly after you say we got a case.
5-point underdogs.
I appreciate
Why
that.
would I just give you a case?
Because you're confident. I see the confidence in your face over there, Brewer. You think you're slick. I'm confident.
I actually
I'm
feel
slick.
it.
Yeah,
I'm taking the hopeless underdog.
Oh, they're hopeless.
And okay, wait, there's a caveat to this bet.
Tell me.
If Marcus Morris cannot start this game, we have no bet.
What about if he plays?
If he plays,
gotta
I'll do it.
Okay.
Whether or not
Okay.
he starts. Fair enough. I'll give you that, Skip.
Yep.
I'll give you that. Okay, so tonight we got Clippers Suns. And then tomorrow, Hawks at Bucks. Giannis and the Bucks are one series away from reaching the finals after knocking out Kevin Durant and the Nets in the last round. But Trae Young and the Hawks are feeling pretty confident as well. However, knocking off the Knicks and then the top-seeded 76ers in 7 games, yeah, they're feeling it a little bit there. Shannon, game 1 tomorrow night, but big picture here, who wins the series?
Skip, you know I love the Hawks, man. Let me take that back. I love Trae Young.
Okay.
Ice Trae has been phenomenal. He's really making a name for himself. And I think people are starting to see just how special of a talent that he is. But I'm going to take the Bucks because this is not a good matchup because they don't have a guy for Giannis. I don't know how they deal with Giannis. John Collins is a nice defender, but not for Giannis. And you got Chris Middleton. Then who you put on Chris Middleton? Skip, over the last 5 games, Chris Middleton averaged 28 points a game on 41% shooting from the three-point line. Now, we remember how bad he started the playoffs off. He was terrible. So you got Giannis and Capella. Capella's a good defender. But he's not going to be up under the basket. He got to guard Brook Lopez because you know Brook Lopez is not going to be up under the basket. He's going to be hovering around in the three-point line. So with that being said, Skip, I think the Bucks are a better team. They can defend better than Philly. I know, Philly had 3 guys, but when it's all said and done, I'll take Middleton, I'll take Holiday, I'll take Giannis, I'll take Tuck over the 3 guys that they had in Philly, Skip. And I think Holiday on Trae Young because he can move. He can, he's a smallish guy also. And you saw he was doing a pretty good job on Kyrie. So I like
for a little while.
For a little while. I think Kyrie got hurt the 3rd game. He stepped on Giannis's foot.
Yep.
So with that being said, Skip, I'm gonna take the Bucks. I think the Bucks are a better team. Giannis will not get a better opportunity than what he has now. And if he thought losing to an undermanned Nets team with only Kevin Durant would ruin his legacy,
yep.
You lose this game? You lose, not this game, this series?
Yep.
Skip, you're talking about Ben Simmons not being able to recover. Because everybody say, Giannis is on a silver platter. You got the Nets, minus Harden, hobbled Harden. Kyrie missed the final 4 ball games. Bro, you're not going to get it any better than what you got it right now. So he needs to seize the moment. I believe he does. I'm going to take the Bucks in this series. I'm definitely taking them tonight.
So I am highly amused by your dilemma in your pick because you love you some ATL and you love you some Trae Young.
I do.
But you have this sort of weird fascination with Giannis and you defend him because I won't. And all of a sudden you're torn between two loves here and you're back and forth and you finally gave up on your Hawks. I'm shocked you gave up on your Hawks as you got to the threshold.
My guy, I played your guy in a game 7.
Your guy?
Yeah, Giannis Antetokounmpo.
My guy scored 48 points and hit one of the greatest clutch shots you've ever seen. And if his toe hadn't been on the line, you would be down 8 more cases.
My guy had 40 and 13.
Yep. He finally made one shot. It bounced all around. It was Kawhi-esque. It bounced around and fell through in overtime. He took and made one shot in overtime, and that's all that was necessary.
So you're going to hold that it didn't swish. You're going to hold that against him.
It was a little lucky. He got some favorable little hops up on the rim.
Yeah.
And he shot it softly enough. I give you. He had enough touch on it that it fell.
Yep.
I give you that. And I told you yesterday I was more impressed with Giannis in that big playoff game than I've ever been with him. But I still do not trust Giannis. He has flamed out so many times when you wanted to trust him in big playoff series, and I believe that moment has arrived again. There's something that I grudgingly came to love about the Hawks. I don't love Trae Young, and I'm about to tell you another reason I don't love Trae Young when it comes to Milwaukee. But the point is, I love his spunk, his spark, his spirit. Yeah. I love those things about him, and they do too. And he's just so difficult to contain because of his quickness. He's hard to stay in front of.
Yes.
So if he can get in the lane, which he will against anybody, including Milwaukee, he can wreak havoc.
He can.
With Capella lob dunks, with John Collins lob dunks, because it's hard to defend him. If his floater is falling and he makes Giannis keep making choices, or Brook Lopez, either one of them, make a choice. You going to come get my floater, or are you going to let me have that lob dunk?
Right.
It's hard to defend, and if he can get the step back going every once in a while, he's a 32%.
Well, if he get a step back going, it's over. Because you got to hug up on him, and then he gets around you.
All right, there's something about Nate McMillan that I trust eminently more than I do Budenholzer in a big playoff series. Nate McMillan is right there with Ty Lue as an adjuster, as a motivator, as a calming influence for what's still a pretty young basketball team. And I wish they had DeAndre Hunter, and I wish they had Cam Reddish, but they don't. Because those are two big stud athletes that would help.
Some other defenders that you can throw bodies at.
And so I don't love it that they don't have those two. But I am going with the Hawks just on that spirit of theirs, because I remind you, they were 14 and 20 near the All-Star break, and somebody had the vision to fire Lloyd Pierce. I can't believe it.
Right.
But they looked dead in the water.
They did.
And Trae Young didn't make the All-Star. It's like they were a non-factor.
Right.
And remember, they weren't even a bubble team a year ago. So something was going the wrong direction, and they went and got Nate McMillan. And you want to talk about a turnaround? You want to talk about a roll?
Well, would have the 3rd best record over the final stretch.
And then to do what they did to Philadelphia, coming from 18 and 26 down, and to hang in and hang on in Game 7, that showed me a lot of grit and just a lot of moxie. They just got moxie. And John Collins is just not afraid. He plays way bigger than 6'9".
Skip, I think the thing is that when you get a situation like this, and what do you always tell a team? If you look at the Giants, what did the Giants, when they was playing the Patriots, undefeated season? Can we just get it to the 4th quarter?
Okay.
You know, Skip, as the favorite, the deeper you go in the game and you haven't put these games away, all of a sudden, all the pressure goes to you. When Philly couldn't put this thing away in 4, they couldn't put it away in 5. Now all of a sudden we got a game. Hold on. We got to get to Game 6 just for us to keep the playoffs alive. Now we get to Game 7 and we're late in the game. But I tell you what, the one thing that the Hawks can do is that they draw a lot of charges. So Giannis is going to have to be careful because, you know, Skip, he likes to go to the basket, that Euro step. John Collins and Clint Capella have no problem putting their bodies in harm's way and picking up easy fouls. Okay. They got Joel Embiid a couple times like that. They got Ben Simmons like that.
Okay, so these two teams played 3 times in the regular season, and I'm going to blow through all 3 games, and I'm not even sure what they tell you, but they're interesting, even if they're not interesting, even if they're not telling. But game 1 was January 24th up in Milwaukee. Guess who didn't play? There was no Trae Young. He had a back spasm, and there was no Clint Capella, had a right hand injury. So they didn't even play in this game. The starting point guard for the Atlanta Hawks was Rajon Rondo. Believe it or not, remember those days? He was the point guard. He did okay in that game, but it wasn't nearly enough. DeAndre Hunter was in the lineup that day. They got out-rebounded 52-27 and got blown off the floor. All right. So that's game 1. Game 2 is back at State Farm on April the 15th. And Trae Young did play in that game, and guess what he did? This is vintage Trae Young. He went 3 of 17 from the floor and 0 of 3 from 3, and they got blown out again, as you might suspect. Okay? And then we go to the final game, and somehow the Hawks won this game, and Trae Young didn't play again. So there's no Trae Young, but your man Bogdanovich, he goes 6 of 11 from 3, but more important, in the fourth quarter, he made 4 of 5 threes, and they scored 41 in the fourth quarter to rally to win the game. So I don't even know what to make of it, because Trae Young didn't even play in that game, but they just outshot him because they made more threes. It just became a 3-point shooting contest, and Bogdanovich was better than any of the Bucks.
And the thing is, Skip, the Milwaukee is a 3-point shooting team, and I don't know why. When they got that kind of size, when they got that kind of advantage on the inside, they jack up a bunch of threes.
Okay. So in the end, I'm taking Atlanta's momentum over Giannis. That's what I believe in. Just sheer momentum, sheer unity, sheer chemistry, whatever they have. I just like what I see, because Gallinari can just flat out shoot it. He makes big shots for them.
For me, Skip, I just think the thing is, I think Milwaukee's roster is better than Philly's. If you look at their starting 5, Cottington comes in, contribute. Now, they're probably going to play, I think it's Bobby Portis. I think Portis will get some run this series. I just think with no answer to Giannis, and I'm just going to be interested to see how they play this. I believe John Collins will start out on Giannis. Who do they put on? Is it going to be Bogdanovich, or is it going to be Herter on Chris Middleton? Obviously, then Skip. Holiday on Trae Young. Holiday going to try to post him up. Now, P.J. Tucker's the unknown. P.J. played the game. P.J. played really good, Skip. You talk about his defense, but it was a couple of those threes that he hit in the corner.
He did.
That stemmed some of
he always does.
He'll come up and make a couple of plays. So it's going to be very interesting. I just think the Bucks are a better team, and Giannis, and they realize this might be as close as they ever get, because you can't hope that Milwaukee. You can't hope the Brooklyn Nets is going to be injured every year.
Okay.
Philly going to probably get better. The Celtics will probably get better. Miami had a down year. But you know Pat Riley, Skip, he got something up his sleeve.
Okay. Milwaukee is a 7-point favorite at home in game 1. That just tells you they're prohibitive favorites.
They are.
So you just sold out your Atlanta Hawks, and you took Milwaukee. And I love it. I love it. And I'm the one... I'm going to hang in and pick up the slack here, and I'm going to take those poor little Hawks. Yeah, because you want somebody to do something bad to Giannis, because you don't want Giannis to get that championship. I just don't trust him. I don't have anything against him. I just don't believe in his intangibles.
Well, you about to believe in it.
I've never seen a guy get yanked in the second quarter of a Game 7. He was just hyperventilating. Yeah. He had to wave out. You remember that? Well, he just had to wave out.
Well, Steve Nash probably should have waved Kevin Durant out and said, come sit down to me, sit down next to me so let me get you a blow.
No, he should have waved James Harden completely out of the game and stopped the madness.
Yeah, just take a timeout. Say, hey, KD, and there's nothing wrong. Hey, I love the way we're playing, but I just want to get a timeout to try to get you a couple extra minutes. That's what I would have done.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I'd have done.
Well, LeBron on his best day couldn't have done what Kevin did.
No. What you mean his best day? He done it.
Best day.
He done that his best year.
He did that for years. That should have won it.
Done it. He done that.
Conversation about LeBron.
You remember that game? You remember that game when against Orlando?
You got to give it up.
KD
the game when against Orlando.
KD is the best player on the court.
No mercy. Yesterday, Raiders defensive end Carl Nassib became the first active NFL player to come out as gay. He did so while posting a video to his Instagram. Check it out.
What's up, people? I'm Carl Nassib. I'm at my house here in Westchester, Pennsylvania. Just want to take a quick moment to say that I'm gay. I've been meaning to do this for a while now, but I finally feel comfortable enough to get it off my chest. I really have the best life. I got the best family, friends, and job a guy could ask for. I'm a pretty private person, so I hope you guys know that I'm really not doing this for attention. I just think that representation and visibility are so important. I actually hope that like one day videos like this and the whole coming out process are just not necessary. But until then, you know, I'm going to do my best and do my part to cultivate a culture that's accepting, that's compassionate, and I'm going to start by donating $100,000 to the Trevor Project.
Just check, guys, 500,000 likes on Carl's Instagram there. Wow. So an important moment for Carl, for the NFL. Shannon, what is your reaction?
Well, this is great. Man, I think this is something that will allow this young man to live his best life. Skip, can you imagine the burden that he's carrying? Because, Skip, every night you go to bed, you wake up. Did somebody see me? Is somebody going to tell something that I haven't been able to tell, to share my story? That's a heavy burden to bear, knowing that there's something inside of you that you want to share, that you want to be, in order for you to live your best life. I'm just not comfortable yet. And I'm glad he's able to feel that he's comfortable enough. And maybe this can help some other young men and young women live their best life, Skip. Because a lot of times for me, I was able to be successful because I had a brother. I saw my brother do it. I'm like, well, hell, we came from the same place. We ate the same food. We lived in the same house. He did it. I can do it.
That's a big deal.
That is a big deal. So now, Skip, hold on. There are a lot of young men out there that say, hold on. That dude in the NFL. Now, he just didn't get like this yesterday. So he made it to the NFL. You see other young men and women coming out, be it Hollywood, be it CEOs. And so now they can say, well, hold on. He or she did that. I can do that.
Okay, but obviously this is the National Football League, the last bastion.
Macho among macho,
yes.
Testosterone to the umpteenth degree. There's no professional sport
no.
that the testosterone level runs as high as this. But I think, Skip, you've been around it. You covered it longer than I played, and I've been around it. You understand that today is more accepting than what it was in the 70s and 80s. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think David Copay was the first to come out, Skip. He wrote a book, I think, in the 70s, maybe 80s. And then we had some others, Jerry's, I think the guy with Washington football team tight end.
Yes.
Came out. We had Wade Davis, Ezra.
We've actually had a pretty lengthy list.
Yeah, they're starting to come out. But
after.
But I think now, Skip, because, as I said, the locker rooms are a microcosm of society, it's more accepting because we see society seems to be more accepting. Whereas before they're like, Tyler, no, you can't tolerate, you got to be accepting. Because someone's orientation is different than yours, you can't castigate them, you can't look down upon them. And for me, Skip, I just need to know one thing. Can you help me win? Look at that, what you do in your time. I don't care, as long as you ain't breaking the law or hurting anybody, I don't care. Can you help me win? Because that's what we're here for. That's how I want you to judge me. Can I help you win? Because that's how I'm judging you. Can you help me win? I am so glad that this young man feels comfortable and confident enough that says, you know what? Enough of this. I can't live my life another day bearing this burden. I need to share it. He did. I'm glad Jenny said he got 500,000 likes, and hopefully it helps some other young men, some women, because he donated, what, $100,000 to the Trevor Project to focus on suicide prevention for LGBTQ youth. So I'm happy for him. I'm proud of him.
Good. So my first reaction was yesterday when I heard a quote from Mark Davis, the owner of the Raiders, son of the great Al Davis, obviously, and I believe Mark Davis might be as open-minded as any of these owners when it comes to any of these kinds of social, racial type issues. So I do think that Carl's in a good place here with the right man at the top. But Mark Davis' statement said, I thought we got to the point where this wasn't a story anymore. And when I first saw Carl on one of the networks where I saw the video, my first thought was, wait a second, I thought there were several who were out. No, they're not.
No.
I've just been aware of so many post-career. And covering teams through my many years, you being on teams, I was aware of so many who were in the closet that at some point in my head, I thought we had sort of passed this point of no return where it had become widely just completely okay in the locker room. To the point that Mark Davis is saying, I thought we got past this point that this even needs to be a story.
Right.
Well, no, he's the only one. He's the only active player.
I'm not so sure, Skip, that every time someone does this in football, I'm not so sure it's not going to be a story because of, as you said, the hyper-masculinity that's associated with football.
Okay. So now we get back to Carl Nassib. And to me, it's going to take a specially built young man to step forward and break this ground.
Right.
Because Michael Sam struggled with it.
Right.
Did you go through? I know I was on.
I was on your show with Michael Sam.
I think we did do it.
We did
back in the ESPN days. But remember, Michael Sam, I watched him a lot at Missouri, and I really liked him as a football player. He was co-SEC Defensive Player of the Year,
right,
and with C.J. Mosley, and I thought he can play.
Right.
So it'll be just fine because he can play.
Right.
And then he lasted until the 7th round and the 3rd pick from the bottom. And it felt like the Rams just did the league a favor. They were then the St. Louis Rams. He was at Missouri. Just up the road in Columbia.
Yeah.
And they said, okay, we'll try this.
Yeah.
And he didn't last through training camp and was cut. And I thought, that's just bizarre. My Cowboys took a flyer and put him on the practice squad, and he didn't last a month on the practice squad. And the word out of Dallas was,
he can't play.
And he also wasn't taking football nearly as seriously as he was his cause as a new spokesman and a sort of the face of that, you know, the NFL movement when it came to that. So the point was, Michael Sam couldn't play well enough, and he also, I never got the feeling he was that comfortable in the role.
Right.
Carl's comfortable.
Yes.
As we saw in Hard Knocks when he was first with the Browns.
Right.
He's got a big personality. He's got a little showman in him, which is very necessary here to be able to withstand all the attention that he's going to get when he goes to training
negative
camp.
attention, because you know what's coming, Skip. You know how fans are for opposing teams.
Both ways, but he's just going to get a whole lot of attention. A lot of it will be great attention, but you have to thrive on it.
Right.
And you have to be able to protect your teammates from the fallout of it, because they'll get tired of talking about it after a while, but you should be the center of attention.
It is. And Skip, that would be my thing. And I would tell them, and say, look here, we don't discuss, I'm not going to discuss what this man does in his personal time. Okay. Just like I don't discuss what player X does in his personal time. Now, if we want to talk football, as I said before, I'm happy for him. Okay. He's comfortable. I'm comfortable. So let's just move, because we're not going to do this every single day. Well, how is Carl? Carl is the same as he was yesterday. Before I found out he was like this, he's the exact same way. Now I just know he has a different orientation than mine. Okay. That's it.
All right, got it. So what do we know about Carl's background? Well, it's fascinating, and it's rare. His father played college football at Delaware, but his big brother Ryan was a draft choice of the Giants and was Eli's backup for a couple of years before he bounced around. So there's bloodlines. He had what you just talked about. He had a Sterling in a way, a guy who could show him how it's done. Yes. But he wasn't good enough in high school. When he wasn't even a starter for his high school team, he walked on at Penn State, which is, as you know, it's hard to walk on at Penn State. It's a loaded program.
Absolutely.
And he not only made the team, but he hung in and hung on and didn't start until he was a 5th-year senior. And guess what he was as a 5th-year senior? He was the Defensive Player of the Year in the Big Ten. And he won the Ted Hendricks Award, and he won the Lombardi. These are national awards for defensive linemen / linebackers. Right. Okay? So he won all the above as a 5th-year walk-on, first-year starter at Penn State. Is that not rare to you?
That's very...
That takes some gumption. It takes some resilience to hang in all that for 5 years to get to that point and then flourish. Then he was only a 3rd round. You would think off that he'd be a higher draft pick, but he was a 3rd rounder by Cleveland, where we saw him on Hard Knocks, obviously. And then he was there a couple of years, got cut, bounced a couple of places, Tampa, and then went to the Raiders. But he got some money to sign. He was 3 years, $25 million, got a pretty big guarantee to sign with the Raiders. Okay, well, that'll work. Right?
Imagine the burden that he was carrying all along, had this, and he was dealing with this and trying to play football, and you're worried about, man. Because that's the thing, Skip, to have a secret and to like, man, is this the day someone blows my cover? Now he can really be free. He can really be free.
But maybe he's one who didn't really care whether his cover got blown.
Well, I'm not.
I mean, you want to do it on your own terms, which you finally did.
But Skip, let's. And I want to be fair here now, because I keep saying, and we use this. The locker room is a microcosm of society. Now, just like everybody in society is not accepting of this, don't think everybody in the locker room will be accepting.
Clearly.
Just like we see vaccinations.
Clearly.
And you saw Cole Beasley, we saw some of the other guys like, I'm not getting it done. While some of the other guys like, you need to get it done because, you know, we're a team. But so let's not, I'm happy, and I'm sure some of the other guys will be more than accepting. And they're not gonna say anything publicly. They're not gonna, you know, man, I can't believe you did that. You live your life like this.
Yep.
But it is what it is. I have no problem with it. And I'm happy for him because he had enough courage to say, you know what? This is who I am. Guess what? I was sacking the quarterback before y'all knew. Guess what I'm going to do now? Still go get the quarterback.
Yep. So I first was aware of him on that Hard Knocks little speech that he gave to the defensive linemen in their meeting, where he went up to the whiteboard and he lectured them about who knows what compound interest is.
Right.
And he was trying to explain, if you just take your money now and forget about a financial advisor, if you can invest it at 10%, and my first thought was, hey, Carl, if you can find me a 10% you can trust, please, I'll sign up right now.
You better get 3 to 5.
Yes, you're lucky to get 3 to 5 that you can trust going forward. But the point is, his logic was exactly right. If you can just invest this at 10% and let it compound over 10 years, all of a sudden, you're straight.
Right.
And I hope they all took that wisdom to heart because he was exactly right. But I loved his presentation because he was extremely comfortable in that spotlight. He also talked about aliens a little later in Hard Knocks, but he's very comfortable on camera, which is crucial to the role he just took upon himself.
Yes, I think he once the season's over, Skip, he'll have a lot of speaking engagements and tours that he can go into, you know, and speak to these young men and women and says, okay, this is how you should approach it. Because I think the thing is, Skip, it's hard for me to see a scenario which his family didn't know. And I think a lot of times that what the young men and women in this community struggle with is that their family not being accepting.
Yep.
And that's all, Skip. I'm still your son. I'm still your daughter. Whether I choose to live an alternative lifestyle, I mean, I'm still who I am. I'm still your brother. I'm still, you know, your sister, whatever the case may be. You just want to be loved. You want to be accepted. And that's the hardest thing because most of us, I grew up in, you know, in the rural South Georgia, Skip, that was not tolerated. That was not accepted.
I got it.
And so to be accepted for who I am, for what I am, congratulations to you, bro.
No mercy.
Devin Booker went off Game 1 against the Clippers, scoring 40 points along the way to a triple-double and the win. And after the game, the Suns guard talked about what motivated his performance. Take a listen for yourself.
I've been a student of the game, you know, for a really long time. And, you know, Kobe obviously being one of my mentors and Chris being one of my mentors. And just the mentality, you know, people say the Mamba mentality, just the approach of, you know, doing whatever it takes, you know, at all costs to get a win. You know, it might not be 40 points next game. You know, it might be more assists or making more plays for my teammates, the hockey assists.
Mamba mentality. Shannon, how much Kobe do you see in Devin Booker?
I see a lot, especially in the mid-range, Skip. I don't know if he'll ever be just a pure scorer, the bucket getter that Kobe was. I mean, because we saw Kobe have a streak where he had like 5 consecutive games of 50, and he had 62 by the end of the third quarter. In that same season, he had 81 in the ball game. But when you watch the way he plays, is that the thing that I like about this kid and Kobe, that they wouldn't settle for the 3. They're going to get to that mid-range. Now, Kobe is more playing in the post with his back to the basket than Book. Book is more put the ball on the floor and try to get to a certain area. Both of these guys could do that.
Kobe was a couple inches taller.
But I see a lot, Skip. I see a lot. And I think that's the thing is that the footwork that you see once they do get down on the low block, they're trying to punish guys. He has that mentality that I'm trying to strangle anybody that's on me, and I don't care. We're going to be friends after the game. But in the meantime, Kobe might be your friend. But I think as Kobe got a little older, Kobe wasn't nearly as friendly the first half of his career as he was the tail end as he started transitioning. Like, you know what? Let me give a little bit of this back. let me help some of these young guys because, you know, hey, that's awful selfish of me to have all this information, to have all this knowledge and not share it with anyone. And so I was glad that he changed this thought process in that regard. But you see a lot of Kobe, a lot of similarities in him. I believe he can be an MVP. You look at the scoring. You look at what he was able to do in the absence of Chris Paul, because we saw in NBA when Shaq fouled out, Kobe's like, I got you, big fella, and took the game over. Okay, Chris Paul's not there. I got you. Chris Paul was injured a lot in the first series against the Lakers. I got you. So you see some of the similarities that Kobe possessed. You see this in Devin Booker. And I love the way he talks, very matter of fact. It is what it is. I do what I have to do to win. Whether it's scoring, whether it's getting my teammates involved, whatever I need to do to win, that's what I'm going to do. That's the exact same mentality that Kobe has. And, you know, Kobe mentored a lot of Jason Tatum. A lot of guys give Kobe credit for that.
That's true.
So the thing for me, Skip, this kid could always score. The only thing now is if we get an opportunity to watch him on TV in the playoffs. We saw what he did in the bubble. We saw the guy go get 70. You don't get 70 points by accident. That's why only been a handful of guys that ever got that number. And so I know he could score the basketball. Now he's scoring meaningful points because, Skip, was he just a good player on a bad team, or could he be the difference? Well, you get Chris Paul in there, and now he can just focus on what he's great at.
Yep.
Now you see the next level.
Okay, I have said on the show numerous times, Devin Booker will win at least one MVP because this is not new. To your point about the 70-point game, that was March 24th of 2017. Yeah. 2017.
What, he was like 20?
Yeah, because he came out of Kentucky after 1 year. So that was a loss at Boston.
Right.
And then he had a week in, is actually a 5-day period in 2019, still going back 2 years ago, where he went 59, 50, and 48 in a 5-day period.
Right.
All losses.
If I'm not mistaken, Skip, that's when Memphis, they didn't want him to get to 50. They started doubling him in the backcourt to make him get a ball up.
Okay, so he's playing for bad teams.
Right.
So I do believe that Kobe saw a lot of himself in Devin Booker.
Yes.
I did always get the vibe that Kobe had the softest spot of the young players. He liked this kid the most.
Right.
He mentored and tutored Jason Tatum. But I think on just raw intangibles that he liked what Book was made of.
Because they're more built alike, Skip. Kobe might be an inch taller, but Book's like 6'5". But if you look at their makeup and how they're built very similar.
Okay. But I'm talking about the killer intangible.
Oh, yes, mindset.
You can talk about Mamba mentality, but our friend Eddie House used to tell me going back to 2017, because he used to sit courtside, he probably still does, for the Phoenix games, and that's been back when they were bad.
Right.
He used to say, hey, I can hear it and see it up close. This kid's got that dog in him. Because he's got that dog.
Yeah.
He's got that killer in him that I don't see enough of in Luka or Donovan Mitchell. They're both wildly talented in different ways, but I'm talking about fourth quarter takeover killer. He's got it.
Well,
I'm not saying he's got it.
Remember against the Lakers? You said something? You were talking to Schroeder. I thought so. Sunday. Oh, you can't guard me.
Right. Okay. That's who he is. Is he Kobe? No, he's not Kobe. But the problem with Kobe is that when you do any comparison straight on with Kobe, by year 6, this is Devin's 6th year. He's finishing year 6. Right. By the end of Kobe's year 6, he'd won 3 championships. And he'd played in 85 playoff games. Devin's played in 11.
Right. Yeah.
85 to 11. Right. Well, we haven't seen him on a big enough stage. Right. Furthermore, back when he was at Kentucky, if you remember that year, it was 14-15. The stars of the team were Karl Anthony Towns and the Harrison twins both started. And
they lost to Wisconsin.
Willie Cauley-Stein started, and Trey Lyles, now Spurs, started. And that's your starting 5, and they were 38-0, and they lost to Wisconsin in the national semifinals. Okay? So off that game, remember, Devin Booker played that whole year and started 0 games. And he came in and played 19 minutes in that loss to Wisconsin and scored 6 points. Okay? Didn't even take a 3. Wasn't much of a 3-point shooter. He was mid-range. So off that, I got in a big fight on First Take day after that about how good is Devin Booker.
Right.
And I said, he's real good.
Right.
Because you could just see how pure the shot was. You can't teach or coach that. You either have that or you don't.
Right.
And he had it. He just didn't get to display it very much on that team. And I think Calipari might look back at that and say, you know what, maybe I should have gotten him more in the mix.
Exactly.
Right?
Skip, that's why I think it's so hard to evaluate. It's harder to evaluate basketball players than it is football players.
Yep.
Because a football player is not coming out after he ain't coming out after 2 years of not playing at all, starting, and just come out.
In fact, there were those who were advocating that Devin Booker go back for a second year. But he did go 13th overall. He didn't go top 5. He went 13th.
But it's still a lottery pick.
It's he bit this bottom of the lottery, okay? Well, is that not a great pick?
Yes.
Because you look back and say, that'll work.
Right.
Well, you couldn't see it at Kentucky because he just didn't get enough opportunities to show you at Kentucky.
But Skip, that's what I'm saying is that when you take a guy like this and you take him that high, obviously you says, okay, he can go here. But as a guy waits until his senior year and he comes out, how much better is he going to be? Because this is what we know about athletes. When they're really good, they're not staying in college. Unless you get a Peyton Manning type situation that really enjoy college and they're financially secure. But more times than not, Skip, if I get a chance to go make millions, I'm gone.
What did I always tell you about Blake Griffin? He stayed for 2 years at Oklahoma, and I'm like, what?
Yes. Or you get a situation like a Tim Duncan.
Yeah,
Tim
well,
Duncan
that's crazy. That's just crazy.
Yeah,
but he's different.
Yeah.
He's built different.
Right. But for the most part,
he actually loved going to Wake. He loved college.
Look at all the top guys, Skip. All of them either came straight out of high school or 1-2 years max in college.
Well, absolutely. Just the way of the world.
That's just
So in this case, I need to see more because we haven't seen him on the biggest stage.
Right.
Maybe they'll get past the Clippers to the finals, and then we'll really start to see what he's made of. But so far, he has toiled in the shadows. For a bad team, he has made now 2 all-star teams. But his biggest problem in this day and age is it's the age of the three-point shot, and he's not a very good three-point shooter. He's 34%, which is below average. So because he doesn't shoot the 3 and shoots the mid-range, it doesn't light up the night quite like Steph has lit up the night.
He's getting 25, 26 points, and he's making 1, 2 threes a game. And normally the top guys, you look at Dame, he's hitting 5 threes, or Steph hitting 4 or 5 threes a game, and you're like, well,
or Steph and Clay, they got like crazy numbers. Where they'll go off in a quarter and score some unbelievable.
He has that ability to score like that, Skip. But it's just a lot of them not going to be from 3 now. Occasionally, we saw what he did that last game against the Lakers, Skip. He couldn't miss from 3.
Yeah. Okay, Devin Booker, I said really nice things about you, so you got to be really nice to my Clippers tonight. You got to take it easy on them.
Skip, what if he gave y'all a 70-piece tonight?
Want to bet on that?
No, he gave y'all a 70-piece.
How much you want to bet on that?
I can see another 38, 42.
Yeah. I'll give you 70 for 70 cases. You want that? Okay.
70 for 70 cases.
Not a playoff game, a regular season game, baby.
No mercy.
Tom Brady is making an appearance on the new season of The Sharpe, Uninterrupted, airing Fridays on HBO Max. And he offered an interesting quote on last year's offseason before signing with the Bucks. And you're going to want to hear it for yourself, so take a listen.
One of the teams, and they weren't interested at the very end. I was thinking, you're sticking with that mother?
That's all you needed to hear. That's all you needed to hear.
He didn't know he was on.
Oh, yeah,
Shannon, which team do you think he's talking about?
49ers. It's hard for me to see.
Really?
It's hard for me to believe it's anybody else other than the 49ers, Skip. Because he's like, hold on. Another one of you mofos picking Jimmy G over me.
True.
Because remember, Skip, John Lynch said they were, they thought, okay, Tom, but we felt very comfortable with Jimmy G. And Tom said at the very end of the process, still, y'all sticking with that guy. He just cost y'all the Super Bowl. Bring your boy on. Because, Skip, a lot of people say, well, it might have been Chicago, Skip. I don't believe he thought Chicago had the offensive talent. He looked around, he's like, hold on, they got Debo Samuel, they got Bourne, they can run the football, offensive line. Kyle Shanahan, Skip, he had gone against Kyle Shanahan in the Super Bowl with Atlanta. No, he can call plays. So Tom wasn't going anywhere that he didn't feel they had a supporting cast or an offensive mind that can put him in the best position to win. Because Tom Brady ain't about to skip it. No, let me take that back. That can put him in position to win a championship. Because winning is not enough for him. He's won enough. It's about championships. Once you get to his level, it's all about championships. And I believe that was the one team that he felt clearly. He wasn't talking about New Orleans because they had Drew. He has the utmost respect for Drew because at the time, Drew had more passing yards, more touchdowns than anybody.
Definitely.
I believe it's the 49ers. I believe he's talking about Jimmy G, and he couldn't believe that the 49ers, again, had done something that his former coach was willing to do. Choose Jimmy G over him. Y'all keeping that mofo? I'm glad. I love this Tom Brady. That other guy for the previous 20 years that give you that golly G wins and all that old coach speaks, God, no, I want him. I want this guy. I love this guy, Tommy B.
Do you?
Yep, I sure do.
Can you believe that LeBron James invited Tom Brady into his barbershop?
Yeah, he should have gave him a fresh cut, too. You know, we cut white folks here in the barbershop.
His hair looked pretty styled. I don't know if you could... I don't know if you could handle it.
Yeah, some of that old moves, that old freak up in there. You had to stand up and say, you saw that too.
I did. So I'm with you on one thing. This is the real Tom Brady. And it took a long, he's finally free.
Yep.
And remember, he did Howard Stern early on last year in Tampa, where he could just, so to speak, let his hair down and just let it fly with the foul language.
Right.
And this is the real Brady, and he will occasionally use that word. And yet, here's where I don't know if I can cross the line into Jimmy G, because he spent so many hours with Jimmy G in the quarterback room. I always got the feeling he kind of likes him. He doesn't like the threat that he started to...
Oh, Skip, I like him, but he's not better than me.
Okay, I got that. But would you go so far as to refer to that guy as MF? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Skip, that's Tom. Skip, you got to think about what you're talking about. You talk about a guy that had won 6 Super Bowls. There ain't a whole lot of guys in the world that he believed that played the position better. Obviously, Peyton. He played against Peyton. Drew. Those are his counterparts. Because if you think about it, Skip, when Tom Brady loses a game, he ain't going to the midcourt.
Yeah.
Brady, Drew, Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
If he don't think you on his level, Tom like, deuces, I'll holler at you later.
Okay. The only other possibility for me was Tennessee, because Vrabel and Brady are so close because they obviously played together.
Right.
That's the kind of language he might say to Vrabel on the phone, like, you're going to stick with that?
Right. He probably, I don't think he said that to the coach. I think he was saying that to himself. Y'all, he's saying that to himself. Y'all sticking with him over me? You get an opportunity to get me, a motivated me.
Yeah. Okay. But he might say it. I can't even remember what Ryan Tannehill's status was, but I think he would have been that guy.
Yeah.
And I could believe he'd use that term for Ryan Tannehill.
Because I think Ryan Tannehill had come in at Skip. Remember, he had came in at mid-season after Mariota, and he took him to the AFC Championship game. So he had played really well. Tom is looking at it like, bruh, the dude just cost y'all a Super Bowl. If he does anything in the fourth quarter, y'all win the Super Bowl. I come to you with open arms. Just take your boy in. I got you.
Well, what did I tell you during that time? I said, this is made to order.
Right.
You could have Tom. I said, just do away with Jimmy G. He's never going to win you anything.
Right.
He's always going to be just good enough to get you beaten when you don't want to get beaten. And I kept saying, Tom Brady gets to go home because he grew up a 49er fan right down that freeway, that 101 from what was then Candlestick, right? And he idolized Joe Montana, then he could become Joe Montana to end his career in San Francisco. They might have won it all last year.
And that's the thing, though, Skip. When you're in that situation like Peyton, you don't recruit Peyton. He recruits you. Peyton Manning representing Tom Condon reached out. Okay, they sat down. Okay, tell me what you're thinking. Okay, Arizona, the Broncos, Tennessee, and I think the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans also chose Matt Sharpe over Peyton Manning.
They did.
So, okay, so he's recruiting you. You're not recruiting him. Tom Brady ain't taking no call from 25 of the teams. He ain't even taking Don Yee's not even picking up the call. Oh, that's what he ain't even answering that. Just hit, busy.
Okay. So we saw that clip, which is just a tease for the episode, which airs, I believe, at Friday. 9. Is it Friday or Sunday? think it's Sunday, whatever.
But,
I don't know. I think whatever. It's upcoming.
I know you'll be watching.
What's that?
It airs on Fridays.
Friday. Okay, Friday at 9 Eastern, I guess. Okay, so here's my prediction that there's no way if they cross-examine him, like, well, who was it? There's no way he'll say it.
No.
Tom Brady would not divulge that publicly. And if he does, that's a real new Tom Brady.
Right. But Skip, the thing is, remember now, he's living his truth. That was a heavy burden to bear.
Yeah.
Taking all those shots with Coach Belichick taking his shots at him and people taking shots and he's biting his tongue. That's a heavy burden to bear for 20 years. He said, to hell with y'all now. You say something crazy.
Well, time out. The head shot taker is sitting across from me right now.
He got me.
He got even with you.
Exactly.
He got you good.
Exactly.
Live in a public forum.
He did.
Right?
So that lets you know that lets you know who Tom really is. He's bitten his tongue far too long, he believes, while people that he believes is taking shots at him, most notably his head coach that he played for 20 years. Now, he probably will never say anything publicly. Not to the degree, Skip, that we would think. But we know, I'm just waiting for the book. I just want the book to come out.
Are you?
I've been waiting for Tom Brady to write the book, because you know it's coming. You know it's coming.
And I loved it. Was it a week ago? They asked Belichick, did you congratulate Brady, send him a text or whatever? And he said, well, I want to keep that between us.
Tom just come out and said no.
There's no way.
That is such an odd
there
answer.
is no way.
Skip, I congratulate him. I mean, look, but are we surprised, Skip? There are very few times that you work for a company, you have success at another company, and that company calls you up and say, hey, man, congratulations, you're doing so well. That's not how it works. So I don't know why we would expect Coach Belichick to call for Tom Brady and congratulate him.
Well, he congratulated Jimmy G in San Francisco.
Jimmy, my guy, that's my boy. Jimmy, my boy, that's my guy.
Well, he should have gone and gotten him and brought him back and shown everybody he could win a Super Bowl.
He was my boy. He ain't my boy no more.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
No mercy.
Saturday, it's a powerhouse showdown at Chavez Ravine as Chris Bryant leads the Cubs against Mookie Betts and the Dodgers, or it's one of the greatest rivalries in sports as the Yankees take on the Red Sox. Saturday, 7 Eastern, only on Fox, so check local listings for the game in your area. Well, Ben Simmons is still taking a lot of heat for passing up a late dunk in Philly's Game 7 loss to Atlanta. Doc Rivers, though, feels confident that this will be the offseason that Simmons can finally improve his shooting. 76ers coach told reporters, quote, I believe, without going into detail with what we're doing, I believe we know what the right work is and the right type of work and the right way to do it. Fox Sports NBA analyst Steven Jackson joining us now. Steven, is Ben Simmons fixable?
You got to ask Ben Simmons. You can't ask Doc Rivers. Sure. You can't ask anybody on that team. You got to ask Ben Simmons. Does he want to be fixed? Obviously, it's all in confidence. You can't. I think they babied him too. Brett Brown, when Brett Brown had him, Brett Brown didn't even force him to worry about working on his shot. They just babied him and let him be who he was. Now, all of a sudden, you see you can't win with the point guard that can't shoot with a dominant big man. Anybody who plays basketball, who knows the game, if Tim Duncan, you can't have a whole bunch of guys around Tim Duncan that can't shoot when he was with the Spurs. You got to have guys that can shoot. It's hard to have a dominant big man like Embiid and have a point guard that's scared to shoot the ball. That doesn't work. And as you see, everybody's trying to force him to be a shooter now. I think they should let him be who he is and make him a power forward. Send him somewhere where he can be a power forward. He can't be a point guard in this league when not been able to shoot. And you can't just force somebody to shoot all of a sudden. You can't just wake up and say, okay, this year you're going to be a shooter when he doesn't already have the confidence. So they can have him in the gym all summer. They can try to change his shot, make him shoot with his right hand. I don't think none of that will work if he's not confident. And at the end of the day, he is who he is. You can't change a player in the middle of his career. Brett Brown and them babied him when he first came in there. They just told him he was this great point guard. He was going to be this and be that. But he can be that elsewhere. He can't be that with Philly because as dominant as Embiid is, it don't match. You need a point guard that can shoot. Sit him down, play him at the 4, let Curry play the point guard. But he has hurt that team. I said this a long time ago. They will not have success with a great big man with a point guard that can't shoot. So if he wants to be fixed, it's all mental to me. He has to fix it himself.
Where you heard that before, Skip? Stacks, I was telling Skip, we've been talking about this. I said, fix him. but maybe we need to change our expectations of what he can be. Because remember, he was supposed to be a 6'10", 6'11", Magic Johnson, LeBron James hybrid. I said, I was thinking last night as I was laying in bed, could he be Draymond Green? I think that's a better scenario for him. Put him in a situation, let him initiate the offense where he doesn't. They don't require Draymond to shoot. Now, Draymond is not afraid of shooting, but Draymond gets a lot of his baskets diving to the basket, getting putbacks. Ben can do that. Ben can also initiate the offense. But to ask all of a sudden to get you right, well, he's only 24. Well, you would like to think at 24 he would have learned how to shoot the basketball by now. And if you look at all big men that's been dominant, Shaq had Kobe, Kareem had Magic, Oscar had Kareem, Kuzi had Russell. But for Ben Simmons not to be able to shoot, but I fought Skip Bayless and others. As long as you're dominant, you don't need to know how to shoot. You're 6'10". Okay, when you get to the playoff stacks, you know this. When you get to the playoffs, whatever your weakness is, it gets highlighted because teams make you play to your weakness and get away from your strength. And so what did they do? Make Ben Simmons have to shoot the ball, which he's afraid to shoot. And as I've said, not being able to shoot is one thing, but when you're afraid or petrified to shoot, that's something entirely different. Ben Simmons is afraid to shoot. The dude passed up a dunk on 5'11" Trae Young to throw the ball to a cutting Maurice Thibault. That's unacceptable. I believe he'll be better somewhere else. I believe the Sixers will be better with him somewhere else. I just don't know. And I said this, I agree with you, Stacks. I don't see how two guys, if you look at Ben Simmons, he plays better when Embiid is out of the lineup. He got his career high 42. Joel Embiid didn't play against Utah. You look at him 2 years ago in the playoffs against the Nets, Joel Embiid didn't play in the playoffs. So I don't think this is a match for those two guys. Let him go be a Draymond Green. Now, this is not a knock on Draymond because I think Draymond is great. And I think that's the kind of role Ben Simmons can play. But to have him be your point guard and he's unplayable late in ball games, man, no, you can't have that. No.
So I want to be clear. Go ahead.
In order to be Draymond, Skip, they're gonna have to put some hot sauce in his food because Draymond is a dog.
Yeah, exactly.
And what Draymond has, you cannot teach. You got to just have that. And Ben Simmons don't have that right now.
That is true. Draymond did call LeBron the B word in the middle of a game.
Yeah, you just ain't got nothing to do.
Sold out and became LeBron's business partner.
What does he got nothing to do with LeBron?
He's got dog in him.
He's okay.
Hey, I just wanted to reiterate that point. That it was a good point. It was the only good point Steven's made so far on this show, and I wanted to give him credit for it.
Oh, no.
Okay, so I want to be straight with this. You two are both advocating that the Sixers get rid of Ben Simmons, right?
Bye.
I'm like flabbergasted. I try to step back and make sense of this. We're talking about, you keep calling him 6'10". They list him at 6'11", and I believe he is. 6'11", 240. He's 24 years of age. He's made Rookie of the Year and 3 straight All-Star teams. 3 straight. So those are his 4 years. Rookie of the Year and 3 straight All-Star teams. Last 2 years, first team All-Defense. Helped lead the Sixers this year, to first place in the East. Best record, -- seed in the East was Ben Simmons' team. That team against Philadelphia had a commanding 2-1 lead. Against the Hawks. 2-1, and then went up 18 points in Game 4 and 26 points in Game 5. And let's get rid of Ben Simmons, who, by the way, as Shannon referred to back on just February 15th, about 4 months ago, he got mad about all the talk about how Rudy Gobert was the runaway defensive player of the year. So without Joel Embiid, he goes into Utah, into what I consider the toughest place to play, the loudest crowd. They probably didn't have much loud that night.
No,
not yet. But it's a tough place to play. Nobody likes to play there. And all he did was destroy Rudy Gobert, who guarded him the whole night, to the tune of 42 points, 9 rebounds, 12 assists. And that night he made 12 of 13 free throws. 12 of 13. You want to talk about capable? You want to talk about rare commodities? This is extraordinary. And yet against Washington, Scotty Brooks finally said, I'm going to resort to it. A lot of coaches don't believe in it, but he said, I'm going to hack a bend. And it didn't just work. It destroyed this kid's confidence. And once he lost it, he completely lost faith. He was so ashamed that he got hack a bend that once they got to Atlanta, he didn't even want to touch the basketball in the fourth quarter. That's not physical. That's strictly mental. You need sports psychologist. It would help to have a shot doctor, but his shot doesn't look broken to me. It looks pretty good. He's got a pretty sweet motion. It's pretty pure.
He looks broken.
Okay, he looks broken at the free throw line. He's just afraid to shoot it. But his mechanics are better than LeBron's mechanics at the free throw line. LeBron changes his setup about every other game. So he's got potential to be a 70% free throw shooter like LeBron is.
Stacks, let me ask you this, Stacks. Let's just say player A, he's 6'11". He's a 3-time NBA All-Star. He's a 2-time first-team All-Defensive player. And in the fourth quarter, late in ball games, he's unplayable.
Okay, but that didn't happen until this past series. That's the first time that's ever happened. He wasn't unplayable against Toronto in the conference final.
The first time they put him to the test.
Okay.
They put him to the test. They make him... Stacks, this guy had 11 games. In 11 games... in the playoffs this season, he attempted one shot outside of the paint, and that was the last second shot at the end of a quarter. How you win with that? He shot 2 shots all playoffs out in the fourth quarter. Come on, Skip. 2 shots in the fourth quarter.
Okay, I told you, he went in the tank psychologically. Clearly, he did.
Well, I'm going to let him get out the tank with somebody else.
Okay. So,
hey, Skip,
go ahead.
I can't just all of a sudden decide to go play football. You can't just be playing basketball your whole life and all of a sudden just start shooting. He is who he is. You can't change that. And like you said, Skip, it is confidence. But how could Doc Rivers change it? How could the 76ers change it? They can't change it. It has to be up to him. And it may be just not in him. I mean, some guys, if I'm making $170 million, I would have no problem giving Jerry West a concussion every time I shoot it. At least I'm trying.
Right.
Okay. So, Steven Jackson, how hard is it to score 42 points on Rudy Gobert at Utah? How much talent does it take?
Well, Skip, you asking the wrong guy because I'm not a Rudy Gobert fan. I played in the era of real big men, and he would have never been defensive player when he played against real big men. See what Boogie Cousin did him. So
Terrence Mann did to him. Everybody did to him on the Clippers.
Well, Terrence Mann was just shooting threes over.
It's not a good name to use.
Okay, so the point is, I have one really good source in the Sixers hierarchy, and trust me on this, going back a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, they believe Ben Simmons was more valuable than Joel Embiid. So is it possible they should get rid of Joel Embiid?
Hell no!
Okay, well, I'm just asking the question. You say they don't fit, so somebody's got to go.
Ben Simmons got to go.
Okay, and you want to talk about coming back to haunt you? This guy, he's got stuff you just can't grow on trees, man.
Yeah, like a jump shot.
Yeah.
If you want a jump shot to grow on trees, you keep telling me he got stuff that can't grow on trees. Okay. And a jump shot can't grow on trees, and he don't have one.
Speaking of a little sapling, named Trae Young, this guy suffocated Trae Young. He held him to 39% shooting from the floor. How about your point guard shooting 39%? How about your point guard shooting 32% from 3 and nearly shooting you out of the series just because Ben Simmons was so long and strong he would just suffocate him?
But what did you say it again? He was shooting. He was shooting so bad, the guy averaged 29 and 11. And Trae Young value, you can't always just tie it to scoring stats because you know he was getting, what about the game he had 18 assists when he tracked them down from 26 points? He averaged 5 games, he averaged double-digit assists in 5 of the 7 games, 29 and 11 for this round. Skip, I'm not saying you cut Joel Embiid. I'm saying just move him and maybe lower the expectations.
You mean Ben Simmons?
Ben Simmons. Yeah. He was supposed to be a Magic Johnson, LeBron James.
Nobody ever said that.
They did.
Who said that? I didn't say that.
Skip, that's the natural progression with somebody that size. Just like, what did they say LeBron was going to be? Magic Johnson, because he was the guy, or Penny Hardaway, that was close to that size and that skill set.
So, bottom line.
You can't be a point guard and get hack a band. It should never be a point guard that gets to the free throw line because he can't shoot free throws. I'm sorry, Skip. It should never be a point guard in that position.
He made 3 straight All-Star teams. Let's get him out of here.
Yeah.
Get him out of here.
Hold on, let me ask you a question.
If it's about winning, Skip, yeah. If it's about winning.
Oh, hold on. So, let me ask you a question. Have they ever traded anybody that's made more All-Stars than 3? There have been guys that gotten traded that's made 8, 9 All-Star games. That's been 3 or 4 first team. Yeah. Come on, Skip. Don't do that. Skip, let it go.
Let it go.
Let it go, Skip.
You're the one who fought for him to be the Rookie of the Year. Am I right?
I did. He deserved Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
But he hasn't gotten any better. You don't think Donovan Mitchell has gotten better from his rookie year to now? Everybody's gotten better in that draft except him.
I don't know. I think Donovan Mitchell's the same as he was.
No, stop that, Skip.
Oh, come on.
Stop
I love him. I fought for him.
We not talking about. In the summertime, when we see him play pickup, he's shooting the ball in confidence. He's killing in the summertime runs. Look at the videos. We can look at the videos.
Yeah.
But similar to Joe Harris. People can shoot.
Don't bring that name up on this show. That's a name that will not be spoken this offseason.
When it counts, they can't hit a house if they was in the kitchen.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a good point. We all see the potential. That's probably why this is so hard. Steven, thank you for always keeping it interesting around here. We will check in with you soon.
No mercy.
The Clippers will try and avoid their 3rd straight 0-2 deficit these playoffs in Game 2 tonight. Kawhi Leonard will continue to miss time with his sprained right knee with no timetable right now for return. And on the other side, Chris Paul will also miss tonight's game due to health and safety protocols. Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard joins us now. Chris, all right, who you got? Who wins Game 2?
Jen, I picked this to be a 7-game series, so I'm going with the Clippers tonight to even it up and finally not go down 0-2 in a series. And I'm doing that largely because of all the things that Phoenix had going for it in Game 1, and even still, the Clippers had a chance to win that game. So they're coming off, they're 2 days away from an emotional Game 6 victory over Utah. Phoenix is very well rested, and they're at home. Devin Booker plays about as well as you can imagine with the 40, 13, and 11. DeAndre Ayton is great, 20 and 9. He's defending on the perimeter. He's guarding the paint. He does a great job defensively. They shoot 55% from the floor, the Suns do. They only commit 7 turnovers. Now, they average almost twice as many, and without Chris Paul, that's an incredible number without Chris Paul, who never turns the ball over. So Marcus Morris only gave the Clippers 6 points. So all of that the Suns had going for them, and yet with 4 minutes left and then even a minute and 11 seconds left, the Clippers were within 5 points. So I think the Clippers find a way to pull this out. We know Ty Lue is great at making adjustments. I'm really interested to see what he does. He went big a lot in Game 1. Zubac and DeMarcus Cousins. He dusted off DeMarcus Cousins, who actually played well when he was going against the second unit. So I'll be interested to see if he goes big as much in Game 2 as he did in the first game. They've got to capitalize on the minutes that Devin Booker doesn't play. When he's out, because I don't think they're going to stop him. I think he's going to have a big game. But when he's out, they've got to win those minutes handily. Or they've got to make Monty Williams say, well, I got to go with Devin for 47, 48 minutes. And maybe later on in the series that might pay dividends. But either way, I think the Clippers come out. They're obviously resilient. Big game for Paul George. Big game from Reggie Jackson. I even think Terrence Mann is going to have a nice game. So I think they win.
I'm taking the Suns because of what I saw in the first game. And you mentioned is that what the Suns did really well. They shot the ball from the floor, but they didn't do a good enough job of running the Clippers off the three-point line. Now, we know the Clippers shoot a high percentage, but they don't normally get up the volume of threes unless you leave them uncontested. And we saw them shooting volume threes at a high percent in games 5 and 6 against the Utah Jazz. So I think Monty is going to do a great job, a better job of telling those guys, we got to make those guys settle for twos. We got to run them off the three-point line. And though they have guys that can do a great job of staying in front of people. And I think that's ultimately what led to them beating Utah, is that Utah had no one that could stay in front of anyone that had the dribble. They couldn't stay in front of Reggie Jackson. They couldn't stay in front of Terrence Mann. They couldn't stay in front of Pat Bev. They couldn't stay in front of Paul George. But you look at Crowder and Bridges and Cam Johnson and Devin Booker and Torrey Craig, they have guys that can defend off the dribble. And so there's no reason for them to give up so many uncontested threes. Chase those guys off the three-point line. And as you mentioned, I love DeAndre Ayton. because he's more athletic than any big that they played against thus far in the playoffs. So with him being able to do what he does, and you mentioned Boogie Cousins played well offensively. DeAndre Ayton ate his lunch. He was a -11. DeAndre Ayton was 4-4 for 8 points when Boogie was in the ball game guarding him. So you mentioned, you're right, he played well against the second unit, but he's a liability defensively. So I'm going to take that Ty Lue will make adjustments because he's as good a game-to-game adjustment, finding the right pieces to play at a given time. Monty Williams will have to counter that. Now, it's going to be a little bit more difficult without CP3, but I think winning that first game without CP3 gave these guys confidence that, you know what, we're a pretty good damn team without CP3. We love to have him back. Let's not confuse the two now. I'm not saying they're better, but they're saying they're a pretty good team. They're a pretty deep team, even without CP3. I'm going to say they're going to win a close ball game tonight, and for the third consecutive series, they go down 0-2.
So, Shannon Sharpe, I believe the Clippers could be playing a 6th grade church league team tonight, and you'd take the 6th graders over the Clippers.
How many points you give me?
Right? Yeah, that's exactly right. For how many cases? Because you hate you some Clippers. Because you're afraid the Clippers are going to take over L.A. and make it Georgetown.
It ain't going to happen.
Yeah, it's happening right before your very eyes. So, Chris Broussard, I prefaced my pick of this game with Mr. Sharpe earlier in the show by saying, if Marcus Morris Sr. is out tonight, which he well may be, they're not indicating yet, but he's got some knee issue. If he's out, I'm out on the Clippers because they can't lose 2 of their 3 best players and win a game 2 at Phoenix, even without Chris Paul. It's just not a fair fight. I do agree game 1 was not a fair fight. The league made sure the Clippers would lose that game. To come off the most emotional win in the history of your franchise, your first conference championship appearance in 51 years, and make them turn around in a day and a half and fly to Phoenix and play a Phoenix team that had been sitting, resting for 7 days? That's just not fair.
It's
not fair.
Don't do that, Skip.
Okay, look what the Hawks get to do. They get all the way to Wednesday. Look what Milwaukee gets to do. They go from Saturday night to Wednesday.
Right.
They're going to be ready to play, right?
Well, you had to factor in the 7 games, Skip.
Okay, well, so did I with the Hawks, and the Hawks get until Wednesday night, right? It's not fair. They just dumped on the Clippers again. That's what happens to the Clippers. Okay, so it's 1-0 Phoenix, and it sounds like, from what I'm hearing, Chris Paul will be back for game 3 at Staples.
Right.
Okay, so if that's true, the Clippers are up against it once more tonight because you don't want to go down 0-2 and have Chris Paul coming back for game 3 and 4 at Staples, because this man will be singing sweep over here. He'll bring a broom into right?
You smell that? You feel that breeze?
Yeah.
It's blowing in 3-0.
Is it?
That's what it is, Chris. Really? It's blowing in 3-0 off the Pacific.
Okay. If Marcus Morris can go tonight, and I hope he can go, I'm with Chris Broussard. My Clippers are going to win game 2. A close game. It's going to go to the wire just like game 1 did, but playoff P is going to rise and shine in the 4th quarter. And there are lots of buttons to push, and I love Ty Lue when you give him 48 hours to push those buttons. You know, and I know, he is the king of adjustments.
Why are you listening to Chris Broussard?
No,
when
I'm
I
not
was the one that told
I don't always
I'm the one that told Chris the Bucks was going to win in 7.
No,
I was the one that told Chris the Hawks was going to win in 7.
You told me Utah was going to win in 5.
Yes.
You told me Utah was going to win in 5.
I didn't know they were going to have Rudy Gobert trying to guard the paint and the 3-point line.
Utah in 5 for
look,
5
I'm with
cases,
you, Skip,
right?
though.
Okay.
Right.
Go ahead,
I'm
Chris.
with you, and Marcus Morris is critical. Marcus Morris is critical. If they don't have him, it is hard to see them winning. And if he's out longer than 1 game, I mean, a sweep could be in order, you know, with Chris Paul coming back, because I don't think Kawhi is coming back.
He is not coming back.
The Phoenix team gives them, they give them a lot more problems than Utah or Dallas did. There's no doubt about that. But as I said, the Clippers were right in that game 1. Reggie Jackson has to be big. I think playoff P is now really playoff P.
No, he ain't.
I think he's going to play a very good game.
Agreed.
And he's going to deliver. After Reggie, though, that's especially if Marcus isn't there. If Marcus isn't there, then who's the guy to step up? I said Terrence Mann, but they'll probably need even someone else to step up and help those 3 out. So it's an uphill battle if Morris isn't there, but without him, I think they can win.
Chris, did your TV go out in the fourth quarter? Can you tell the people at home? Because I don't have my notes handy. What was a playoff P fourth quarter numbers? Because my notes, I got something written down on my notes, but I think you might have it, might be better on your notes. What was playoff P in the fourth quarter?
I think he struggled.
Oh, okay.
He struggled, but
Shannon,
that's okay. That's okay.
Shannon, help me out here because my notes are a little fuzzy.
What notes you got?
From the 9-minute mark of the fourth quarter down to 20 seconds left in the game, what did Devin Booker do at home when he was terrorizing the Clippers?
I don't know what he did in that little bit span, but I know he was 11, 6, and 5, and your guy had 1 point that he shot on the technical foul that shouldn't have been.
Devin Booker missed 5 straight jump shots and missed them badly, which is why the Clippers scratched and clawed right back into the game down 2 with 20 seconds left when they played simply the weirdest, worst defense I've ever seen in a crucial moment.
How many shots did you say Booker missed in a row?
5 in a row.
That's exactly how many Paul George missed. He was 0-3 from the 3.
Yeah.
And he only had 1 point, and Devin Booker had 11 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds.
Can you help me out? What did playoff P do the last 6 minutes of the third quarter of that game?
Got outscored by Devin Booker.
He scored 14 points. He did not get outscored over the last 6 minutes of the third quarter. Nope, he did not.
Book him, Devin.
Playoff P.
You remember Y50?
Do I?
You say, book him, Dano.
Yeah.
Book him, Devin.
Okay.
Had Paul George hemmed up in there.
Really?
Yep.
I believe some adjustments will get made on Devin Booker. And I agree with Chris. It's not like you're going to shut him down, but you're going to calm him down. You're going to control him a little bit better than you did the other night, which is why this will work.
You and Chris are exactly right. There will adjustments be made. So in other words, instead of being 1-0, Phoenix will be 2-0. That's the adjustments that I see.
Really?
You see those adjustments too, Chris? Yeah, I'm glad we see that.
Are you confident enough to go ahead and give me the 5 points?
No,
now?
I am
Why not?
No.
No guts, no glory. Why don't you have the courage of your convictions?
All that talking?
Yeah, all that talking, and he wanted to give me the 5. Give me 3.
Hey, Chris.
Come on.
Chris, did he tell you that I won 13 cases over the weekend? I gave him his guy, the best player on the planet. I said, I got him in game 6, and I'm so confident I give you betcha right now in the dark.
Did he tell you I was up 45 cases going into the weekend? No, he did not.
But guess what? I'm gonna get it back case by case. After this game, I'll be down 41. I'll be down 31 cases.
The case is about to be closed tonight.
No.
Chris, did you notice Shannon drinking the enormous?
Yeah, you said I had a big old thing to do. I had a 2-liter do.
He drank it all in one show, and he's hooked on Diet Dew.
Loading
Love
on
it.
this show.
No mercy.
Sunday on Fox, rising Cuban sensation and undefeated super middleweight champ David Merrill Jr. puts his belt on the line against Mario Cazares. The hard-hitting PBC action begins Sunday at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Chris Paul has a $44 million player option to remain in Phoenix next season, but Los Angeles radio shows are wondering if he could end up returning to L.A., but this time as a Laker. When asked if CP3 would be a good fit for the purple and gold, Magic Johnson told a local station, quote, "No question about it. I'd tell Jeannie I'd ask for some money for CP3. It'd be perfect for LeBron, for AD, and for the role players." So, Shannon, what do you think? How would he fit with LeBron?
He'd be a great fit, Skip. I was a little hesitant at first because I was like, well, dang, what does CP3 have left? But he showed that he has some years left. And plus, Skip, it would take LeBron off the ball. It would take some of that. Because we saw what happened with Kevin Durant. When you have to bring the ball up every single time, when you have to initiate the offense the majority of the time, it takes its toll on you.
So you're saying it's a legitimate excuse that Kevin Durant had on Saturday night?
No, we can't use that.
You just said that.
No, but you said that LeBron, LeBron's been doing that for 18 years. You said no. But I'm just saying, it would take LeBron. I want to see LeBron off the ball when all he has to worry about is scoring. Because you got all this talking over there. This guy won this many scoring titles, and that guy won that many scoring titles.
Well, one guy won 10 to LeBron's 1, and you're saying LeBron's the GOAT over Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
It's more than scoring.
Yeah. Okay.
It's more than scoring, Skip. But this would allow LeBron to play off the ball in his last couple of years. I think LeBron's going to play probably 3 more years. But this would take him off the ball and allow him, because he trusts CP3 wholeheartedly. Because he knows CP3 can run the offense. He's a guy that has a mind just like his. And so this would definitely help LeBron, help AD. I don't know if it help the role players, because I think we need some new role players because they ain't make no shots. Everybody else role players can make shots, except Brooklyn and the Lakers. Everybody else be raining threes. We see the Clippers role players come in. Terrence Mann had a career day.
Luke Kennard
come in raining threes. Everybody was making threes. We ain't make none. We the only team that got worse in the playoffs from the three, and we was already a bad three-point shooting team. And we got worse come playoff time. But I agree with Magic. Schroeder gone. We done tried. We offered you 20. They offered him 4 years, $84 million, and he wants more than that. And I hope he gets it. Just not with the Lakers. So hopefully we can sign and trade him. Maybe we can trade him to Phoenix. But it's going to be hard to get CP3 out of Phoenix if they win a championship. I don't see that happening.
Okay. I have told you from the start, and I stand by what I believe. LeBron James was born to play point guard. He's still the best passer in basketball. They go as he goes running the show. When they won in the bubble, it was LeBron running the point and vibing and playing off AD. They're a great fit together. And I would not take LeBron off the ball.
I would.
And if you bring Chris Paul in, he has to play point. He is a true, pure point guard. He's not a two-guard masquerading ass.
No, he's true. He's old school point.
He is as old school as you can get. And he doesn't have a whole lot of lift, so he's got to sort of oomph it to get it up and shoot his little elbow jump shots.
Okay, we're good. Perfect.
So there's no two-guard in him. If you don't honor him, he can score on you.
Will he be an upgrade over Schroeder?
Okay, but you need a better Schroeder at 2. You need a Devin Booker type. Obviously, you can't snap your fingers and get Devin Booker. Okay.
Can we get Dame?
Okay, well, is he a 2?
No, we need Dame. Dame can play anything.
Okay. Well,
can you imagine Bron at the point and Dame?
Okay. Well, so would Dame be happy just shooting his step backs and his...
He'll be happy. Okay. He's going to be happy winning a championship, getting this 27 points a night.
I'll buy that a little more than I'd buy this because Chris is going to have the ball in his hands. And LeBron might like that where you take some load off his shoulders.
Didn't he say he wanted to play? Didn't he say he wanted a situation where all... Now, I don't know how they get Melo here. D. Wade is retired. He's doing great in his post-NBA career life. But CP3 is a possibility.
Okay. I can't fathom how you can fit if he wants $50 million a year.
No, he don't get that.
Okay, well, he's going to have to turn down 44 from Phoenix.
But see, that's 44 for 1 year. What if we give you 3 years for, say, 90?
Are you willing to risk that for a guy who occasionally looks old now?
He don't look old now to me.
He doesn't?
Don't look old now to me.
So you're willing in the second and third year to eat some of that if you have to eat it?
Might have to.
Really?
Yeah.
Just for one more championship for LeBron.
Okay, how about we do 3 years for 75?
3 years for 75? Would he do that? That's not that much money.
That is a lot of money.
Really?
But that's 2 extra years.
Okay.
That's an extra $25 million he wouldn't have got.
Okay. Once upon a time, I thought he was going to be a Laker, and somehow it didn't.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
And it seemed like
Magic's still upset about that.
Yeah.
See, because the news got out that Jeannie was telling the story on All the Smoke, how the story got out that somebody from the Lakers leaked the organization that they had a deal for Chris Paul, and the other owners got upset, said they didn't get a fair opportunity to bid, and David Stern rescinded it.
Where I do agree with you, you have to get rid of Schroeder, only because it's not that he's not talented. It's not that he can't be that two-guard that you need, but he did not buy into LeBron James.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't buy into the Laker chemistry. He wanted to be a solo act.
He thinks he's on a level with LeBron.
That is correct. And you can't have that. That will not work.
No, it won't work. So we're gonna 86 him, and we're gonna be all right. We'll be back.
Really?
You know, Skip, you do after you see this way this thing is playing out, you do realize had we been healthy, we won the title.
I don't realize that.
You realize that, right?
I do not.
Sometimes I feel like you're saying these things to convince yourself.
We would have won.
We'll be all right.
We held down 2-1, Skip, when we had help.
No mercy.
What do you think there? Guys, Devin Booker is coming off a 40-point triple-double performance in the Suns' Game 1 win. Tonight, he'll be without Chris Paul against the Clippers, but L.A. will still be without Kawhi. So, Shannon, what is Devin Booker's line, and what is the score?
I'm going to go 35-8-8, and I'm going to say the score will be 116-108. Suns win. And I think DeAndre Ayton has a big game also. I'm going to say DeAndre Ayton has 22 and 14.
Really?
Yep.
And I believe that Ty Lue comes up with a Waterloo defense for Devin Booker, who will not wreak havoc the way he did in Game 1. I'll give him a good game. I will not give him a great one. ironically, our 8 and 8s are the same. I'll give him 8 rebounds and 8 assists, but I will not give him 35. They hold him under 30. I got 29, 8 and 8, which will be just low enough to keep the Clippers in a game that they will win in the end, 105 to 102, thanks to Playoff P and Marcus Morris Sr.
You think they're gonna hold Book? Book's a volume shooter.
Okay.
So he gonna get up 25, 27 shots.
Okay.
He gonna get that number.
Okay.
He might go for 40 again.
Really?
Yeah, keep talking. I'll go for it.
You want a case on 40?
You know what? You made me.
Really?
Yes?
Case on 40.
Got it.
Oh, are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? You got 6 seconds, I guess not. That's it for Undisputed. We'll be all over it tomorrow. The Herd's on now.